Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to the show. You know, as entrepreneurs and small business owners, it's imperative that we have a good mentor or coach, not only to help us accomplish success, but to avoid pitfalls along the way. The only trouble is, how do we choose a great coach or mentor? Well, there's many of them out there who've devoted their lives to great education and people that have accomplished many great things. But I think a real key is finding somebody that's made empowerment a way of life. The ability to empower others is no easy task. And remember, if you develop the gift to empowering others, it's a guaranteed investment for your company and personal success. Well, today on the show, we're going to introduce you to an individual that's devoted their life to serving others and empowering others. We have entrepreneur, radio talk show host, author, and speaker, Greg Geisen's on the show. Amazing gentleman. You're going to love this guy. We also have real estate guru Amy Norris will be stopping by. She'll be telling us what's happening in the market. And my dear friend, the lovely Margot Bush, will be co-hosting with us. We have a great show, and if you're looking to be inspired or you need a good swift kick in the pants and you're looking to be really motivated to action, this is an episode you won't want to miss a minute of, I promise. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Come experience Nolan's. Savor award-winning steaks, Greek-style cuisine, fresh local seafood, and an extensive choice of wines. Whether you'd like to reserve the large private dining room, enjoy a meal on an outdoor deck, or rock the night away in our lounge, Nolan's, now celebrating 25 years of exceeding your expectations for casual fine dining, live entertainment, and dancing nightly.
Real estate today offers incredible opportunities, low prices, and extremely low interest rates. Hi, I'm Amy Norris from Amy Sells the Beach. Right now, there are opportunities in all areas. Our team can help you put your money to work finding your dream or investment property. And if you're looking to sell, no one can give you better exposure to buyers and make your property stand out. Experience matters when looking for opportunity. I'm Amy Norris. See why we're #1 at amysellsthebeach.com.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm joined here by my lovely friend, Margot Bush. How are you, Margot?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually I'm super fantastic. But if anybody ever has suffered with a migraine, I get migraines from time to time. And not very often, maybe one every couple months or something.
Yeah.
But when I get them, I tell you, I'm like on the bathroom floor, that type of deal.
Yeah, I know.
And so
it's
earlier
a rush
today,
you home and...
And we have a bunch of guests that have come in from out of state.
Right.
And earlier today, Margot had to drive me home, and like literally people had to carry me in the house. I mean, I get them that bad. So about 2.5 hours ago, I said, Margot, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to slick your hair back and
Well, I wouldn't slick the hair back, but, you know.
I'm really excited about the show, too, because we have a person that, in my opinion, is just a very selfless person. You know, you meet these people that are great entrepreneurs and great business people, and they're, you know, they do help a lot of people, and they promote change, but they're really also, they make a lot of money, and they're more about monetizing than people.
Right, and empowering people.
Yeah, and it's really rare that you find somebody that has truly devoted their lives to just helping others. You know, it's kind of that old Zig Ziglar motto, or probably started like Earl Nightingale or before, but it was like, you know, don't worry about your own personal success, but if you help everybody that you meet,
right,
get what they want, then you'll be successful.
Yeah.
And there's many people that lack the faith that that will actually work. You know, there's always this little inclination. It's like, well, wait a minute, what about me? And you have to broker yourself in. And this is a person that doesn't do that. Everybody he meets, he tries to give them a very high value, and just a really amazing person. And you know, and for people like that, it's really a lot of times effortless that things just land in their lap. I mean, this person is a successful author. He has his own radio show. He's coaching. I mean, he's just doing everything because people they recognize that not very many individuals are willing to do this, and certainly empowering is
well, and inspiring people, and people are drawn to that.
Yep.
and they need it.
Well, and it's surprising too, because it's not just men, but women are just really raving about this guy, and you'll see why. He's a good-looking dude. But really, I think both men and women are responding to this. And I know recently you've been reading a book you've been telling me about.
Yeah, because every night I'm going to bed listening to Cheryl, the CEO of Facebook.
Yeah.
And she has a new book out called Lean In. And I mean, it's just revolutionizing the country of women.
Almost
and it's
created
not,
a movement.
she has created a movement. And so what's nice about it is she's empowering women and business owners and professional women, not in a bad way to be, something that they're not, but really taking what they have and who they are and helping them become great leaders.
Right.
And so one of the things that I was telling you about that just even with in corporate America or wherever you're at, and this happens a lot, is that one of the things that she talks about is that how men are always, when they go in and tell somebody or tell a group or their company something, they need to do this, this, and this, and this, and they're fine with it. But when a woman as a leader goes in, it's always needs to be a smile and a we. We
need you to do that.
We need to do that. Just because there's this,
it's
just received different. Sure. And so that, we talked about that a little bit today, and I think that that's good.
Well, like I said, we've been talking for quite some time, and I'm really excited to have Greg on the show. Before we do that, I wanted to bring out our dear friend and successful real estate guru, Amy Norris. She's going to tell us kind of what's happening in the real estate market. Give her a hand, Amy Norris.
Hey. How are you?
Good.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. I hope you feel better.
I am. I'm feeling much better, and now that you're here, how can I not? Right? So I know that from time to time you stop in on the show, and from everything I've heard, not just in our region, but really across the country, things are on an upswing. I know that today I was reading an article in one of the journals talking about the boom that's happening in San Francisco, Austin, Texas. I mean, all over there's pockets in the country that, the economy seems to be kind of turning a corner, and especially the housing market. But what tips do you have for us? I know that some people, as of a few months ago, they say, well, it's really a buyer's market. It's not really a seller's market. But from what I hear, that's not the case.
Yes, inventory is drying up, which means right now for our area, which is, Pensacola, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach area, Baldwin County, and Escambia County.
Yeah.
What I've seen with the trends is right now they're still kind of stabilizing, and there might be spikes and going up and going down, but for the most part, it's stabilizing. However, since inventory is dried up, that's going to start to raise prices up. Now, sometimes there's still issues with appraisals, but by and large, people are realizing, hey, if they want to get it while it's still lower, they better hurry up. And for sellers, it's a great time still. And I was going to tell you that anybody can get free market reports, free, no obligation. I'm not going to, be calling you, hounding you up. If you go to our website, amysellsthebeach.com or amynorris.com, or Foreclosures to Luxury Properties, on the right-hand side, there is a market snapshot where you can sign up for free market data that can be emailed to you on a monthly basis, so you know exactly what the market is doing in competing properties in your neighborhood.
And let me ask you, as far as in terms of opportunity, I get a lot of people that come in and they say, well, I don't have a lot of capital, and maybe in 2008 I had a successful business, but, things dropped so quickly, I got caught and I lost it, or maybe my credit's been damaged. And they're really entrepreneurial. They're looking to get out and do something big, but they just might not have the credit or capital of what they think they can do to get back in the game. Do you feel like real estate is a viable option for a full-time person looking to create a business? Yeah,
and it's only going to get better. I had an interesting opportunity that I was able to help some friends. They had a short sale, but they came down, had another property, and with the VA loan, with their loan, it was actually. It was almost like the VA was paying them to get a house.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable.
Any other last-minute tips for the...
Yes, I would say if you're going to paint your house inside, do not use shiny paint that shows all the imperfections In my opinion, it looks cheaper. If you want a more elegant, higher dollar looking house, use eggshell or flat. If you have fluorescent lights that hang down in the kitchen, like those old fashioned kind that collect bugs, get them out, put recessed lighting or something different. And for pictures, you know, I know a lot of people are switching to the energy bulbs, which are good. Maybe for pictures, temporarily you want to use the old-fashioned incandescent and then swap it out to be green.
Well, those are very simple tips we can do that's not going to cost much, but that increase our chances of moving property. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. We'll be right back with Greg Geisen. Don't go anywhere.
When visiting Gulf Shores, Alabama, make sure to visit the Gulf Coast Zoo, home of the little zoo that could from Animal Planet. Get up close in our petting zoo. Enjoy our unique animal encounters. More than 300 monkeys, bears, reptiles, big cats, parrots, and more call a Gulf Coast home. Come on, go wild at the Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo.
Thank you, thank you. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is a very successful radio talk show host, entrepreneur, author, business coach, amongst many other things. Please give a warm welcome to Greg Geisen, everybody.
Glad to have you.
How are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Greg. How are you?
Oh, that's great. You know what's funny is you were talking about the migraine. I believe that happened when you were talking to me.
It was. You know, we were actually talking at lunch a little bit about what we were going to go over and your information, which we're going to get really into. I'm really interested in this Leading From Within program that you're doing. But we were actually talking at lunch, and all of a sudden, I started getting, it came on so strong, and then I just kind of stopped, and I'm like, and that's it. I need to go home.
Now, I see that from a lot of women that I go out with.
Yeah,
so that's why
like,
I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I guess I go both ways.
It wasn't you, believe me. It was Margot. But yeah, it just came on with no warning, and it doesn't happen very often. But when it comes on, it's rough. Have you ever suffered with?
No.
Well, okay, never mind then. You don't understand.
Can't relate at all.
Well, I have to, before we've been talking quite a while, and I have to say, if you're not on LinkedIn, you got to get on LinkedIn. I mean, it's for business people not being on LinkedIn, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's where we actually met. We've been talking for quite a long time, and I was actually on your show a while back, and I know you've been doing it for quite some time, over 5 years. Is that right?
Right.
But first of all, before we get into what you do and all the things, all the many blessings that you're experiencing in life, tell a little bit about where you're from and your background a little bit.
Well, I grew up in really outside of Chicago, Illinois, the North Shore. And ironically, the novel that I wrote, I had it take place in my hometown, which made it a lot more fun to write because I was kind of reliving some of my childhood experience. And then I did move to California. I've been in the Midwest a lot after that, and then back to Colorado, where I live now, for probably over 22 years or something like that.
Yep. And you're in Denver.
Yep.
And earlier I asked you, how did you get into radio? And like most of us, it seems like I talk to so many that are trying to break into TV and radio, and when they're really trying, it seems like they never get in. But I know for you, like myself, it was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
How that started. How did it come about?
Well, the good news is I have a face for radio, so that there was never any question about that one. I was actually thinking I was getting interviewed for my book, Mondays at 3, and so I went over there, and she's like, "No, I actually want you to have your own show." And I'm like, I don't have a radio voice. Of course, what I've learned over time is it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You know, people, they get used to hosts and they actually start to really associate with that voice. And so my listeners tell me that, and I'm always still a little surprised.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk a little bit, let's jump right into your program. I've done a lot of research on Leading From Within. Tell the audience a little bit about why it's different from other programs and leadership, programs out there.
Yeah, it's a 3-day, 2-night program, and there's public version, and then there's a version for intact teams. And both end up being really powerful, but if I had to sum it up, I would say it's kind of like a personal retreat for people where you get to go, take a 3-day time out, and we limit it to 16 people because the group dynamics are critical to create the safety and comfort. And you get to step back and look at your life and look at what's working, what's not, what needs tweaking. And you do it in a supportive environment where you can really play devil's advocate with yourself. And we provide a little bit of education. We provide the group dynamics to where you feel comfortable with the people, you can be vulnerable, and most importantly, you can be truly honest with yourself, which is the whole point of the workshop.
And you actually set up different activities, correct? So I know that a few years ago I did a couple of triathlons. That was several years ago. And but they have these other activity type things that you set up where you ride a mountain bike, and then you canoe, and then you rappel, and they have. But your seminar, in my mind, it's almost like a cross between that and an empowerment thing, because you set up different activities, and as you said, in that life situation, on the activity, they're learning these life lessons, and they didn't even realize that something they just learned was very profound that can be applied in their personal or business life. And there's real breakthroughs in that environment.
Yeah, it's an indoor-outdoor classroom, so that's why the environment is usually at a ranch or someplace where we can use the outside. And the reality is the first day I have to build a lot of trust between this group so people feel comfortable doing the work they need to do. And to do that, these outdoor activities are very trust-oriented, but it pays off because when you physically have to trust somebody, it's a lot easier emotionally that night to be able to do another exercise because you've already been there. And so the group really takes off, which is also why when an intact team does this together, they don't even realize they're getting team building out of this workshop.
Yeah, and I know we talked earlier that you said that sometimes people will even feel comfortable enough to share things they haven't possibly even told their spouse.
Yep.
So that shows that you're really reaching a certain level.
You know, we had one guy who held back the fact that he was in prison and for attempted murder. And the first night, he realized that if he was going to get anything out of this workshop and do the work, he needed to come clean. He put it out there. He took the risk. Now he's a motivational speaker around the country for high school kids.
I kind of imagine sitting by a campfire with a guitar and s'mores.
John
and all
Denver.
Of a sudden it's like, by the way. But that sounds like a real blast. And I'm kind of picturing, is it equal men to women or?
Yeah, it is. And a lot of companies send employees. And in the early years, I've been doing it for 16 years, they would send some of their problematic employees so I could fix them.
Sure.
But they've come to realize that it's not about being fixed. And so now we're getting everybody showing up for the workshop.
If I can kind of imagine, on this retreat catching a trout and saying, let me tell you what this represents. You're the trout. No, but I think that they're very fun. And people are having, from the testimonials I was reading online, people are having real breakthroughs.
Yeah.
There's people really singing your praises. I was curious as to a corporate application. I know that, is it better for corporations to kind of send their people, and does that work well? Or is it better if you go with people you don't know, is that better? Or?
It works both ways. The funny thing is, and again, we've been doing this for 16 years, is when it's a public course, people will write in the feedback, I'm glad my colleagues weren't here, I wouldn't have shared all that.
Sure.
But then when we bring an intact executive team in, and keep in mind, some of them go in, dragging their feet because they're a little hesitant for that very reason. At the end of it, they're like, this was the only way to do it, because not only do they grow as an individual leader, but the only way that works is if the team comes together to create this support system. And so they walk out of there, this one team where everybody was vulnerable and shared things together. And so it's very powerful. So it works both ways.
Mm-hmm. I know you know this from experience, but they say that one of the best learning tools is to put yourself in a situation where you're taking on, teaching others and mentoring others, because it's pretty easy to skate by, but when you have to teach something to somebody, a lot of times we benefit as much or more than the student. What have you learned about yourself from all these different activities?
You know, from this workshop, I think I've really learned what my purpose is in life. And that's part of what happens in the workshop is people try and define their purpose in a sentence. And that's what I've learned is that the difference that I'm making is probably primarily through this program because that's where most of the breakthroughs occur.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about the book because it's getting a lot of buzz online. And how long, Mondays at 3 is the name of the book. How long has it been out?
About 3-4 years.
Okay, so a few years already. And it's still really, you know, a lot of times you'll see the surge and then after a few years, but really there's still some momentum with this book. And it's actually, what I found kind of interesting is it's actually written as a novel. So there's a lot of real value in there that entrepreneurs and small business owners can take away, but it's written as a novel. Why did you choose, I should say, to go that direction?
Well, you know, I've been an academic professor in graduate school for probably 14 years, and so I tried to write a textbook type of book, and I was just wordsmithing myself to death. And so I realized that I needed to write a story because I'm a storyteller. So I started to write a story, but if you notice in the bookstores, there's a lot of what's called fables, which are really 200-page, you know, 5-point, and then a story written around the points. And I thought I could duplicate that, or I could take a risk and write a full-fledged novel, 450 pages, because I wanted people to vicariously experience the trials and tribulations, you know, of Justin, the main character, who's a struggling supervisor.
Yeah.
I have to say, 400 pages, you're truly a writer. Anybody who can do 400 pages and really make a good novel, that's
She
a
knows
work.
a little thing or two about
I
it.
Yeah,
know a
she
little.
does.
I do. I know a little thing about.
And they're 3 or 4
novels.
page chapters.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of book where, oh, I could do one more before work or that kind of thing.
Well, what I found
good.
interesting about the book, and let's see if I got this right. So there's 2 main characters.
Yeah.
You have Justin, who's like the inexperienced manager, and then you have Dr. Mack, who's like the old vet that's like the mentor, so to speak. And it shows really the interaction between the two. Which one do you think resonate? Which character do you think?
You know, and at the time I was writing this, I didn't associate with either of them. But the truth is, you know, I got fired from my first job as a manager because I didn't know what I was doing. I was using common sense management, which doesn't get you very far. And so I was Justin. But I am now Dr. Mack, which is ironic because now I'm doing the role he plays. And the other thing about the Dr. Mack character, he's based on a real graduate school professor of mine, 86-year-old man, the sweetest man in the world. He knew he was a character in my book, and the day he passed was the day the book came out. So it's kind of, now it's a tribute to him is really what it is.
Wow.
Wow, that's
And does the act of writing come I know for me, I'm more of like an entrepreneur that writes. I'm no writer by any means, but for some reason, as soon as I get a notepad and a pen in my hand or I get on a laptop, I go blank. I mean, it's really a forced effort for me. Does it come fairly easy to you? Or?
Once I started using dialogue in my writing, like my blogs, they just flow. But when I was just trying to teach something without the dialogue in the story, I struggled too.
Well, let's talk real briefly about your blogs. You write full time. I mean, the blogs that you're doing, is it weekly?
Weekly, yeah.
And you've been doing it for a long time. And you have actually these series. I was looking at one today that's called My Day at the Funeral Home. And I think there's 3 parts to it. But people are just raving about the value. I mean, there's a lot of thought behind, you know, a lot of people write a blog for the social media and aspect of it, of like, I got to put something out there a couple times a month. But there's a lot of thought in terms of, you know, how to empower others in your blogs. And talk real briefly about My Day at the Funeral Home, because I got into this and I have to say, it probably gave me the migraine. No, but actually, I almost cried when I read some of it. And you had a great ability to walk people through the situation that was going on.
Well, it's a real story, and all my blogs are a story with a point. And the funeral industry is one of my clients. And so I asked one of the leading funeral homes in Denver, because I wanted to know behind the scenes what actually happens is, could I spend a day at the funeral home, and could he put me through everything? And he gladly did. In fact, he was very thankful I asked that. Little did I know what waited ahead of me, and that's what the series, and I've got 2 more to go. Because I'm spreading it out, because I want to be respectful of the industry without, you know, that fine line of telling too much, but I want people to know what I saw. And it's just a powerful experience. And I'll just say that the one I'm about to write is lunch. So the whole day is going to be 5 blogs. That's how impactful it was. And I remember when I went to lunch, I kept seeing dead people. The people that were in line at McDonald's, I knew exactly what, this sounds kind of morbid, but what they would look like on the other side, because I'd been around a lot of dead bodies in the morning.
Right.
And it made me really appreciate taking full advantage of while we're alive in our body. Because I know what it looks like now on the other side.
Greg, talk real quick. I know we're always pressed for time when you get 2 entrepreneurs together, things, but talk real brief about the radio show, because like I said, I was fortunate enough to be on the show recently, and the way you kind of lead your guest, you're really trying to, you have a knack, I think, of pulling the best out of them. Talk a little bit about the show.
It's called Mondays at 3, and it's internet show, so it's on milehighradio.com, HI radio.com, every Monday at 3 Mountain Time.
Mountain Time. And
it's personal growth topics, basically. And we share a lot of guests, actually, because we have very similar shows. Mine's just on radio. And the beauty of it is, and what I love, is I get a full, probably 50 minutes with the guests. So we can really have an in-depth conversation about what they're doing and the difference they're making.
Yep. And if people want, how do we get the book? How do we get our hands on the book?
The easiest way is my website or Amazon, but it's greggeisen.com, Giesen.com. Everything's there, including the blogs, the Leading From Within program. And by the way, for all of you in the audience and the TV audience, if you go to my website, I will give you a free copy of Mondays at 3, electronic version, if you do that within the next 24 hours. So that's my gift. That's my gift.
Thank you.
And again, one more time, the site is?
GregGeisen.com, Giesen.com.
GregGeisen.com, everybody. Everybody, there you go. Free gift. Greg, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome, Dan.
Please come back. I know we're out of time, but you've been an amazing guest, and I hope to get together again and follow up with what you're doing. I know you have a lot of big things in the works. Guys, that's our show. Thank you very much for tuning in. And don't forget to get involved in your local community and be forgiving of others. Good night, everybody.